Hello you beautiful people, welcome back to what is at long last the last episode of this build, so episode 12. Thank you very much for grinning and bearing with me. Sorry this has taken probably a month or two too long to get completed. I did touch on it last time round, but my mojo has just gone for kit building for the time being. The summer's here, not that you would believe it, but the summer's here, so I'm a bit out and about. I do aviation photography as my other hobby, so I've sort of been prioritising that a little bit. Anyway, less of the waffle. We're straight in with the action here, really. It's just a case of putting what I think is the missile site, the main body of that, in situ using a bit of CA glue. So this video, whilst we watch what's going on in front of us, this particular episode is basically split into two parts. The first 12 minutes are going to be the sort of final bits of putting this kit together, and then the last, however long it is, 20 minutes tops, is a bit of a mini review of what I've done. I give the product a review, a sort of rating, myself a rating, which could be funny to listen to, and just a general bit of other waffle, and some thanks to you guys and other bits and pieces. So do please sort of grin and bear it if you want to. Do bear with me, watch it all the way through to the end, because there's a bit about mental health at the end that is a sort of message I'd like to put out to maybe help us all, without being too preachy, because that's not what I'm interested in at all. It's all about the kit building, but I thought I would just touch on that at the end. Anyhow, I digress. Back to what's in front of us. A nice beautiful view of the Stinger, basically, on the SU-27. I'm using Tamiya extra thin for these parts, because for the most part it doesn't sort of overflow, and as you can see there, the bits drop in nicely to it, and it all comes good. So with this sort of first 12 minutes, I think probably I'm going to go with the notion of less is more, so I'm not going to sit and waffle all the way through it. You're probably tired of my voice after 12 episodes of it, so yeah, I'm going to sort of be quiet for a lot of it and sort of just talk where I feel it's necessary. It is pretty self-explanatory what's going on, so I'll leave you to it with a little bit of background music. I know some of you are not massively keen on the music, but for the majority are, so I am going to sort of persevere with it and just keep it at a discreet level if I can. I would, whilst I'm here, just say that little bit of the glue that came out the side did evaporate and can't be seen now. Just for a bit of info. So this is one of two quite large pitos that I'm attaching. They're sprayed in Mr. Hobby, I think it's number 8 silver, which is one of my favourite silvers or chromes. It is just flawless. Later on, off camera, I did sort of weather it down, tone it down a bit so it doesn't look quite so fresh. A bit of super glue is definitely needed for these parts, just to get them in place, let it do its thing, and then it's a good solid finish, because you do not need to be sitting there with your finger under that for half an hour while the glue takes. So CA glue was the one for this. And I just sort of show a little bit of a close-up of the gun area and that. You can see the actual gun's missing there. That is because I will fess up, I put the gun in there and it popped through and went into the fuselage. So I had to sort of, for want of a better, I didn't really scratch build, but I found a circular bit of styrene that I popped in there, but you'll see that later on. So this is attaching, well, trying to attach I think it's the angle of attack indicator. I did struggle a little bit with this, and it pings off. And it sticks itself to the fuselage. I mean, you couldn't make it up, but there we go. Luckily, no damage or harm done there. So it's a case of just persevering, a bit more CA glue and getting it into position. A steady hand is needed, so I use 2 hands there, because one hand for me is just quite simply not steady enough. And again, using CA glue just to pop it into place. Apologies for the lack of focus there. Okay, so further down in my narration here, when I do the review, I wasn't sure if I'd covered this, but obviously you'll kind of hear about this again a bit later on, so I apologise for that in advance. But I got this yellow by using a Humbrol yellow. I thinned it down hugely, and then basically just dabbed the yellow onto the plastic, the clear plastic, and wiped it away, and kept doing that until basically I'd stained the glass stroke clear plastic. And that was just to replicates from my reference pictures what I saw, which was that there, and I think it's a pretty reasonable representation of that. Whilst on the subject of reference pictures, this was new for me. I found as much reference info as I could on the internet and then just printed it up, and I'll tell you what, that's been invaluable. So to attach that play piece, it's a PVA glue, which is a great friend of mine. It takes a little while to dry, but it always dries clear, doesn't fog, and it is my weapon of choice when it comes to clear plastic, because as you see in a moment, I do struggle to get this in place, and there's a little bit too much on there for my normal liking, but it doesn't cause any grief, and that's the joy of it. So just grabbing the bit with my hands and just popping in place. But as you can see, I'm a mere human. I don't profess to be anything else, so therefore it didn't go perfectly to start with. But as you can see, there you go, pop it into place. And it takes a good couple of hours for the, if not more, for the CA to dry. So you've got plenty of adjustment time, because as you can see, there's a bit of a gap between that and the actual painted grey part. Which I did correct off screen, I must admit. I didn't want to bore you for fiddling around with that too long. But you get the idea, that's it in situ. And I think that's a good representation, just has a slight tint of yellow to it. Next, we're on to a little bit of weathering. And I do love weathering stuff. I don't know why, but it just seems to bring things to life. It's a fun, slightly, you don't have to be too accurate with it. It's a fun thing to do, and I just think it makes things pop and come to life. I don't like to overdo it, you know, with me I find less is more, so I don't make it grimy, because it's not grimy on the actual aircraft. The display aircraft and this aircraft and a few of the others in that squadron are actually kept moderately clean. They're not real beaters, so I sort of did that just to bring out some of the details that otherwise it's hard to see. And I just wanted to just bring that out a little bit. And I also found that where I'd done some filler work, I'd overlooked some areas that were still white from the filler, so that covered those little discrepancies up, for want of a better phrase. Just give a bit of a better camera angle there, something a little bit different rather than the usual overhead. So next up, it was doing the main belly pylons, making sure that they've got a little bit of a coating on them. I'm just showing you applying it. We've looked back on this on some previous episodes, so if you want a full lowdown, if you're new to the channel, of how I've did this, go back an episode or two, I think it's 10 or 11, and that shows more in depth of how I weather things. But I mean, I'll briefly touch on it now. It's just a case of getting thinned down oil paints, oil paint, you know, your artist paint thinned with white spirits to quite a high, you know, a good amount of white spirit to ink or paint, sorry, and then mix it up, and then just liberally pop it on. You've got at least 2 days before it dries, so you've got plenty of time to correct it. And then what I do is I just run a cotton bud or Q-tip for our American friends over it, and it just wipes away all the excess, and I just think it brings things to life. I've done the wheel hub there just to give it a bit of a grimier look where the brake dust and oils and bits and pieces have got in, and also touched on the tyre as well just to bring that to life a little bit. So here it's the same process again, and you can see there I've got a bit of a make do gun barrel. It's not perfect, it fills the gap, it's to scale, etc, etc, and with a bit of weathering you can't really tell. Well, I don't think so anyway. Now, just again, I think I've touched on this on previous episodes, but you have to be really delicate with doing this on metallics, because the white spirit can sometimes attack the metallic paint. So I put a few layers of clear over this, but so it didn't really affect it, and it wasn't too strong on the side of white spirit, so it didn't really affect it, which was more judgment than luck in this case. Like I sort of knew that would be the case, and it's the case again, using the Q-tip, or sorry, cotton bud, guys, and just rubbing away the excess in certain, try and keep it in the same motion so it has like a streaky effect or a used effect, just to take the freshness away from the metals in the gun area. And whilst we're just looking at that, looking inside the cockpit there, those quinta decals for the cockpit details just make it look so on point. Very happy. So onto the wing lights, I did a silver, again using the Mr. Hobby 8, number 8 silver. I just sort of dabbed a bit of that in the recess. And again, it's my friend PVA glue that was popped into that. And then the reason why I did the silver there is it brings out the red and the green colour just a little bit better. So it doesn't have a dark sort of area, if you know what I mean. The silver just lightens the recess up a little bit. I hope that makes sense. And just a case of getting a clear plastic part and pop it in there. Now the eagle-eyed viewers of you there will see that it has the PVA glue has come out a little bit there. I did just dab that off camera with a cotton bud just to get rid of that. So the final piece is to be attached now, and this is actually metal, and it's highlighted on the box. This nose P-tail is metal. Literally pretty much the only thing I can't even complain, but worthy of mention, is that hole in the nose cone that I just pointed out was a little bit too snug for it, so I did have to use a drill bit just to drill that out or bore it out off camera, because it was a bit tricky to do that on camera, just so it was the correct size. I mean, I'm not even going to call it a gripe. That's the only noteworthy misfit of the entire kit that was down to the kit and not my stupidity. And it's just a case of using, again, some CA glue, a little dab of that, and it goes into place. And it's just worthy of note, checking the instructions to get the angle of attack of this pitot, because it sort of dips downwards a little bit. So do check that as your reference. And off camera again, I dabbed away the super glue in the forward direction so it didn't affect the paint, and it was all neat and tidy. So I believe, well, I'm going to be on in another 15 seconds time with the review. So thanks for watching this part. Stick around now for a bit of a fun review on it, and thanks for watching so far, this far. So it's over to me. Thanks again. Hi all, welcome to this section of the build video, which as I'm sure I've previously mentioned is the final part of this build. Now I want to thank you all for sticking with me throughout I think this is the 12th episode now, so thank you very much for your loyalty and your patience with me, because I appreciate that the last couple of months it's gone a bit slow and a bit stale maybe, so I thank you for that. So you may notice, I'm sure you will notice, that this is actually a live, for want of a better phrase. This is me narrating whilst actually moving things around. This is not a sort of recording after I videoed it. So with that in mind, you may hear my dogs walk by. I don't apologise for that, they're part of my family. So if you can hear that in the background, then that's what it is. So I hope it's not too much of a distraction. And also there'll be no music in the background of this one as well, which I'm sure some of you will be happy with. Some of you have given me some great feedback with that, saying yes for the music, no for the music. The music will continue, but a low background for the next build, whatever that may be at the moment. So anyway, enough of the kind of waffle. Here she is, or it is, he is, however you want to play it. This is my first time of actually sort of speaking. We're going to use the word live. I know it's not live, but it's easier for me to do. So this is the first time I've sort of done a live chat, so I apologise in advance if it's a little bit waffly. This is a new concept to me. I've got no notes in front of me, nothing else. In fact, I'll be totally honest with you, I've literally just switched the camera on and gone, let's send this and see what occurs. So it's complete, it's weathered, it's done. I am personally really pleased with this one. I'm sure there are others out there that can pick holes in it, but that's not my problem. I'm happy with it, and after all, isn't that what this is all about, being happy with our own builds? I've had, like I said, some great feedback where a lot of you have appreciated me showing you where things have gone wrong, where things haven't been perfect, and I think that's really quite important with the YouTube videos, because again, not pointing fingers at anyone in any way, shape or form. This is my style. I like to show you when things go wrong. I'm a human like the rest of you all. There are some model makers out there that seem to have this kind of not holier than thou kind of attitude, but don't show where things go wrong, and I think it sets an unrealistic bar for us mere mortals, to be totally honest with you. I like to show when it goes wrong, then maybe it will help you guys to avoid the same follies that I've done. And it also shows that, listen, I'm no spectacular modeler. In no way am I a good modeler. I just try my best, and it goes wrong from time to time. This isn't perfect. It's not, but I'm happy with it, and that's all I really care about, to be honest, and I'm happy to present this to you all. So, okay, let's deal with one elephant in the room before we get going. And again, I do apologise in advance if this is a bit sort of ropey on my filming, because I've got to keep the camera in one place and I'm sort of reaching around the camera here. So I do apologise for that. And I've just actually noticed that my camera's on 3 minutes battery, so I am just going to try and scramble to plug her in. So this is what's going to happen next. This shows you how live this is. I will just, if you can hear the banging in the background there we go. Right, we've got battery to chat now, everybody. So I'm going to deal with the elephant in the room here, and this was my mistake, okay, and I've got to be so careful with this. There's so many sticky out bits on here. Right, here should be the squadron decal, I think that's what it is, but as I covered last time round, I managed to put masking tape on it and pull it off. There's a lesson for us all: don't put masking tape over decals unless you're really sure that they're not going to come off. That's the bit that's missing, but apart from that, everything is here. So let's have a look at it. I mean, I've touched on a lot of this before, so this is only going to be very brief. So here we've got all the weathering. I'm hoping that it will show up. The amount of decals on this was insane. I mean, it really was absolutely crazy. But I've got the gun barrel in now. I've given this a bit more of a weathering. I don't know if it's going to show up, just to give it more of a dirty, well, not dirty, but a used weathered metal effect. We've got pitos and spikes and bits and pieces all over it, including on the back here. So I'm really having to handle this with care. As we saw in the video just a minute ago, this is now on. This has been painted. It's pretty sturdy, actually. I'm quite impressed with that. And then underneath, we've got bits of weathering on the wings. And this is all stuff I've shown you how to do. I've not done any new sort of tactics and not shown you. I've not been that guy. Because again, some other people have reached out to me saying, oh, you know, your videos are great because you show all the stages. I appreciate that may not be massively the case in the last 2 episodes, because as you're already very well aware, my mojo ran out a little bit with this, just with model making in general, to be honest, because it's the summertime and I'm busy outside doing other bits and pieces. So yeah, I do apologise if some of the final stages weren't covered, such as I did weather the undercarriage here, and I've just yeah, there we go, and I hope you like that. I was quite pleased with that. And I just weathered up the pylons a bit as well. I'm hoping the video will pick that up. And we've also got wing lights. So very happy with those. Yeah, really good. And the kit was stonking. Listen, I'm not going to drag this out for much longer. You can see what it is. It's a SU-27UB in Ukraine digital camo. You've all faithfully followed along with me for doing this, and I cannot thank you enough. Now, I can't remember, and now if I cover a couple of things here that I've covered in the beginning of this video of me doing, I do apologise, but I don't think I covered doing this bit. Now, I believe this is the missile sight, or the gun sight. So what I did with this, I don't know if it shows too well. I'm trying to make it show well. There's a slight yellow tinge to it. I managed to do that by just literally getting some Humbrol yellow paint and really thinning it out, and then just putting a daub in here or there on it, and then just wiping it away and continuously until the yellow sort of stained yellow, because that's what it's like on the real aircraft. So I was really quite happy with how that came out. I sort of sat and was debating how I'm going to do this. So yeah, that's come out to my satisfaction, I think is the word I'm looking for. Rear canards, they move. Sorry, are they canards or tail planes? Tail planes, they move, and so does this keep moving, and I've got to be so delicate with that. They move, I'm happy with that. I really enjoyed this kit, I must admit. I thoroughly recommend it. I'm going to give you some marks out of 10 now for bits and pieces. So for fitment, do you know what? I can't fault this aircraft. I know you'll remember from probably episode 2 or 3, the rear burner cans. I was moaning because they didn't fit right. Well, it turns out that was probably down to me, but I think I did say that in the episode. So I'm not going to discredit it for that, because that was my own talent. So for fitment, I'm going to give this a good solid, okay, do you know what? A 9.5 out of 10. because I did have a little bit of an issue with the nose pitot. It was too big for the entrance of the hole, and now that's not my fault, and I know that, so I drilled it out a little bit, so that's why it loses half a mark. Now that may be harsh, but you know what, we're not dealing with Tamiya here, and I can't, when I go through and maybe do a Tamiya kit later on and give that a 10 and this one a 10, because I don't quite think Great Wall Hobby are just in that ballpark yet. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 for fitment. I'm going to give the kit overall though, which may sound contradictory, I'm going to give the kit a 10 out of 10, just purely for the fact that it isn't a Tamiya, and I think it's really unfair to be sort of comparing these other kits to Tamiya. It's like comparing a broken down car to a Lamborghini. You can't do that. They're not in the same ballpark. So I'm gonna give this a good solid 10 out of 10 actually for everything with this build, because I think the kit was being fantastic. I don't know if they're up and coming Great Wall Hobby. I think they personally are. I look forward to more releases from them because this kit has been fabulous. So it's a 10 out of 10 for me on that. Now, my own skills, my own finish on this, probably I'm going to be as cheeky enough as I can be here to give myself a good 8 out of 10 for how I've finished this kit. This is probably my best yet. So there's always room for improvement. Will I ever reach a 10 out of 10? Probably not. Am I going to beat myself up over that? Absolutely not. So yeah, I'm going to give this give myself an 8 out of 10 for how I've finished this, got the weathering down. Let me know what you think. I'm a big boy. If you think it's a 2 out of 10, hit me with it and tell me why you think it's a 2 out of 10, because you know what, it might be something I haven't seen and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good point, I can improve through that. So that's pretty much my build review, my sort of review of this. The design, like, you know, when you build a Tamiya kit, again, sorry to compare it, that's really harsh, I almost feel bad saying this. I've watched other sort of model making shows because I'm yet to do a Tamiya kit, and I've seen that the thought process behind the building is exceptional on that, whereas this one, I don't think there is that level of thought process just yet as to construction. But that's not to say this isn't absolutely fabulous, because I think Great Wall Hobby have knocked it out the ballpark with this kit. It is absolutely terrific, and I thoroughly recommend it. I used obviously the Quinta Studio cockpit interior. That I give a 10 out of 10. They are awesome. Get yourself onto Quinta Studios on their webpage because they're bringing out new stuff all the time. That's very good. The decals, I'm trying to remember who done the decals now. Not the decals, I'm talking nonsense actually, the masks, and I can't remember who did it. It wasn't Galaxy, it was another company, Ukrainian guy. Those masks were excellent. Were they accurate? That is open to debate. I'm not sure it was. These are entirely perfect. Again, could be down to me, bit of this, bit of that, but yeah, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. The decals were exceptional. I used a combination of the kit decals and aftermarket decals to get the number 67 of the Ukraine Air Force livery, basically. The only thing that I did go wrong, and I documented this well, was me doing the red stripes. Now, was that the decals fault? Absolutely not. I should have cut them. That was my fault. That is a lesson learnt. I should have cut them into smaller parts and done it that way. Okay, so again, that one's kind of on me. I wouldn't be so rude as to say otherwise, but yeah, I'm happy with my weathering. I think I got the burner cans pretty good, because I've seen some other people doing these burner cans, and again, not to criticise them, because this is an entirely personal process. Theirs or my sort of, what's the word, my view of how something should look. It was different to theirs. I've seen a bit too much purple on here, but again, if they're happy, who am I to disagree, as the song goes. So yes, I'm going to stop waffling now, because I feel I'm starting to get into a bit of a danger of waffling away just to make content here, because I could chat to you guys all day, and I'm sure you're leading busy lives. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope this sort of review, okay, brief as it is and not massively in depth, because I can't be bothered. I'll be honest with you, I cannot be bothered to go any further in depth with this now. You've seen 12 episodes of me building this. You can make your own assumptions up from that. You can make your own assumptions of my abilities, how I finished it. That's free world. It's entirely up to you, and I'm a big boy now. If you agree or disagree, that's fine, and that is part of life, and I encourage that, actually. I'd just like to say thank you ever so much again for coming this far with me on this journey with this aircraft. and for your awesome, humbling feedback. I love you guys. You're great. It's really made me feel very, very good of how you've reached out to me and how you've told me it's helped you. There's some newbies out there that have gained some valuable tips from me, just like I gain valuable tips from other people. We're all gaining help and wisdom from each other, and I think that's entirely what it's about. I just want to very briefly talk about mental health, because it's something that's very passionate to me. I'm not going to be the door knocker over that subject. It's just very brief, and that is to say that some of you have reached out to say that it's helped you with your mental health. I personally, as I've well documented, suffer from quite crippling mental health at times. It's quite rare, but when it does happen, I go into quite a dark place, and you guys have helped me with that. And it's nice that you've reached out to me and I've helped you with your issues. And I think that's something that we should be very open about in this world. I'm not going to be one of those sort of snowflakes. Again, forgive me if this is offending. I'm not a snowflake, but I also understand that stuff is real, and we all suffer. And the model making can help us, escape, not even from reality, but get us back on the level. Helps concentrate the minds, helps with mental health, and I'm all for that. And you know what? We're all men, because I've checked my subscribers, and we're all blokes. So ladies, I'm not segregating you, but particularly us blokes, we don't talk. And maybe we should do so. If any of you want to sort of reach out and chat to me, I'm always here to help you in that respect, because I do have quite a bit of experience in it, and I'm just glad I've helped. So anyway, enough of that waffle. Thank you ever so much. I'm not sure if I'm going to put some photos at the end of this, or whether I'm just going to leave it with you being staring at this sort of, sorry, you've been staring at this for so long and listening to me, but I'm going to leave. I don't know if I'm going to put some photos up, or whether I'm just going to cut the video here and call it a day yet. So you'll see in a moment anyhow. But there's one last look at her. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you think she's good. I'm happy with it. And now onwards to the next build, whenever that may be. It probably will be another month or so, but you know what? The mojo is starting to slowly come back. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. The mojo is coming back. I've got the Zukimura F4 EJ sitting underneath this bench, begging for me to start it, which is all good. Just one thing, if you're still with me, I'm quite into my civil aircraft. In fact, that's what I do. I do photos of civil aviation. I love it. Do you want to see me build something civil with a cool colour scheme? Let me know what your thoughts. Or are you all military boys and girls? Sorry, ladies. Are you military boys and girls, or would a little bit of civvy be of interest to you? Because I know Zvezda have released a new Boeing 757 kit that I'm quite keen to do. Let me know your thoughts on that as well, please. But again, thank you ever so much for going this far. Really appreciate it. There's a thumbs up from me. And look at my clean nails for all you weirdos that are worried about my nails. Yeah, I thought I'd drop that in the end. I haven't forgotten about you. This is what you should be looking at, not these. Anyhow, I'm waffling. I'm going to go. Peace out, everybody. Happy modelling. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already and you've been moderately amused by my musings and things like that, hit the like and subscribe button. It's not the end of the world to me if you don't, because this is all about just me expressing my journey with making aircraft and helping the few of you that are, the great many of you, actually, not a few, the great many of you that have shown a really lovely interest in what I'm doing. So if you want to, hit the like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you like it, hit the thumbs down if you don't like it. Comment, say hello, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you again ever so much for joining me on this build. A couple of times this build wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. It's nearly been yeeted across the room a couple of times due to my mistakes, so I can't thank you enough. You've helped me, hopefully I've helped you, and let's move onwards and upwards, and I'll speak again soon, hopefully. Thanks again, you lovely people. Have an enjoyable rest of the summer. Hopefully I'll be in touch again before the end of the summer. You never know, I might start on the Hasegawa tomorrow. The Zukimura tomorrow. You never know, alright? That's the joys of life. I will speak soon, and thanks again. Much love. Bye-bye now.